The book of Proverbs, chapter 15, and verse 9. 8, verse 8. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah. But the prayer of the upright is his delight. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah. But he loveth him that followeth after righteousness. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. Hell and destruction are before the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah. How much more than the hearts of the children of men, the heathen? A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him, neither will he go unto the wise. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. All praises to Yahweh, by Shema Shah, Wahara Kakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the seeking to be the elect of the nation of Israel. The scattered abroad amongst the heathen, some look like heathen. Beginning with the 144,000. Preachers, teachers, prophets. Shalom. Cuba, the tribe of Manasseh. Northern Kingdom of Israel. Cuba grid collapse. The situation is growing more dire, experts say. Judgment is upon 2/3 of Israel. Judgment is upon the globe, the heathen, the nations, and 2/3 of Israel. Judgment is upon North America, Central America, and South America. All right? What you see right here, 4 hours ago, Cuba grid collapsed. The situation is growing more dire, experts say. It's coming to America. All right? To North America. It's going to happen to North America as well. The situation for those living in Cuba is growing more dire by the day as the island grapples with dwindling oil supplies to fuel everyday life, experts of Cuban-U.S. relations told ABC News. And that's what you get for following the ways of the heathen. The ways of the heathen, hey, 2/3 of our people, you're going to come into the realization, well, you're in the realization or coming to the realization that these false gods are not going to help you, man. Now you get Baruch chapter 3 and verse 9. Baruch 3 and 9. Hear Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. Only the elect are doing that, the elect of Israel, the church. How it happeneth in Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead, the heathen nations. You see? So 2/3 of Israel are joining to these heathen nations and their ways of living. So though all of Israel are scattered amongst the four corners of the earth, you know, in our enemies' lands, strangers' lands, hey, you got a few Israelites that's in the land of Israel, you know, that's looking like them small hats, but they're actually Israelites through the seed line of their father. But for the most part, the bulk of Israel are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, primarily over here in North, Central, and South America, man. We are in our enemy's land. Okay? 2/3 of Israel just want to cleave into the ways of the heathen. Again, verse 10, how it happeneth in Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead. The dead would be the heathens. You're defiled with them. That thou art counted with them that go down into the grave. You see? Thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. You see that? For if thou hadst walked in the way of God Yahweh, thou shouldest have dwelt in peace forever. And the elect of Israel are going to dwell in peace forever. So the elect, what has learned, it says, learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou mayest know Also, where is length of days and life? Where is the light of the eyes and peace? And that's this truth, man. All right, having the name Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, being in this truth, being underneath the covenant of Yahweh Shema Shai, following the men of the great millstone, man. And the men that teach the same doctrine which they learned from the great millstone. Okay? Who all have the testimony of Yahweh Shai with the spirit of prophecy. You see? It says, who has found out her place, or who has come into her treasures? Where are the princes of the heathen become, and such as ruled the beasts upon the earth? They that had their past time with the fowls of the air, and they that hoarded up silver and gold, wherein men trust, and made no end of their getting. For they that wrought in silver and were so careful, and whose works are unsearchable, they are vanished and gone down to the grave, and others are come up in their steads. Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known. So 2/3 of our people want to join into the heathen, follow their ways, their false gods, their false customs. All right, these heathens don't have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yahweh Shema Shai is only dealing with the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect. The Lord is only dealing with the elect of Israel. It says, nor understood the past thereof, nor lay hold of it. Their children were far off from their way. And I'm going to read down. It's going into how the nations are all wrong. Their false gods and their false ways are all wrong. And you want to cleave into their false gods and false ways. That God and Jesus crap, that Christianity crap is a false way, man. All right? It has not been heard of in Canaan, neither has it been seen in Teman. Canaan is Ham. Teman, that's Esau. The Hagarenes, that's Ishmael, that seek wisdom upon the earth. The merchants of Midian, which is Midian. That's Midian. Come on now. Midian is Japhet. Hold on, man. Hold on. I'm tripping. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's Japhet, the Medes. Hold on. That's Canaan right there. Hold on, y'all. That's Ham. Midianites. Hold on, y'all. I'm overlooking it. You know what? Let's do it like this. Let me get my other phone. Hold on, y'all. Stick with me. Stick with me. Hold on. I'm using my other phone. Root 3. Root 3. Yeah, right. That's Midian. Yeah. Yeah, that's the my fault. That's Genesis 25. My fault. The Midianites. Midian. The descendants of Abraham through Qatar. They're liking it to Ishmael too. Let's just get that real quick. Here it is. Verse 4. And the sons of Midian. That's what it's going into. I just wanted to prove that real quick. So it's just going into how the nations don't have it, man. Baruch 3:23. The Hagarenes that seek wisdom upon the earth, the merchants of Midian, it says, and of Teman, the authors of fables, and searches out with understanding. None of these have known the way of wisdom or remember her paths. You see that? So Yahweh Shema Shai ain't dealing with these heathen, they false ways. But 2/3 of Israel want to cleave unto it. That's why you're getting judged along with these heathen. Alright? It says, O Israel, how great is the house of God Yahweh, and how large is the place of his possession. Great and has none end, high and unmeasurable. You see? That's the nation of Israel. And you get verse 26, that's a precept or scripture that goes along with Genesis 6, man. It says, there were the giants famous from the beginning. It says that were of so great stature and so expert in war. It's talking about the sons of God before they were called Israelites. It's the same thing. Israel, he is a prince of God. Yahshua Allah, he is a prince of God. The sons of God, it's the same thing. So, that cuts that Nephilim mess people talking about these Christians. Anyway, but you see, it's a false way you want to follow these heathen. So like the scripture says, man, hey, no hand join the hand. The wicked shall not go unpunished. Proverbs 11:21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished, shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. You see that? So Yahweh Shema Shai is always making a point between the righteous and the wicked. And just like Yahweh Shema Shai has always brought plagues upon the earth, he always took out the heathen and judged the wicked of Israel, and has always protected and delivered, protected, and preserved the elect, the remnant of Israel throughout all empires. All right. Now I got this right here. We're going to play this. And I got, I think, 2 other videos going into this Hunter virus. Hey, up there in Colorado, another person died of the Hunter virus. Yeah. We already know about the one in Illinois. That's another in Colorado. But listen to what they said though. But let's play this real quick. And this right here is coming to America. Cuba grid collapse. The situation is growing more dire, experts say. I got a video with Patrick Humphreys. It's urgent warning letter just sent. Massive explosion in 3 critical refineries. And he's speaking on how the oil and stuff for change of oil, all oils and lubricants. There's going to be a shortage. Okay, so change your oil change, transmission change, fluid change, front rear axle fluid change, radiation fluid change. All this stuff is some good shortage, man. All right, because of the war. All right, and they already projected for it to start happening in July. All right, but let's play this again. This right here is coming to America, so hey, we got to get our mind right because it's coming. It's going to happen. Hey, look to the south to know what's coming to the north.
Can your sunglasses go from this to this? And
the latest now on Cuba, where protesters have taken to the streets as the island faces more blackouts amid an unusual mission to the island by CIA Director John Ratcliffe for meetings with top Cuban officials. Matt Rivers has the story. Matt, you just returned from Cuba.
yeah, and the situation on the island, George, really unprecedented. This surprise, unannounced trip to Cuba comes at a time of some of the worst tensions between the United States and Cuba that we have seen in generations. CIA Director John Ratcliffe heading down to the island with a message to tell the Cuban government to stop being what a senior CIA official called a national security threat. Radcliffe telling the Cubans they need to stop allowing adversaries like China and Russia unfettered access to the island. The Cubans, for their part, acknowledging publicly the meeting took place and saying they told the CIA they pose no such threat. The meeting comes as a U.S. oil embargo continues to put near unprecedented strain on the island, choking off its fuel supply. Blackouts, which have long been a problem on the island, are now worse than ever. Just yesterday, half the island's power grid failing. You see those protests there. They are unusual. And we know Donald Trump has threatened military action against the island for months now, repeatedly saying that if Cuba's government doesn't make significant reforms, he is not afraid to take action. That is a message the CIA says was reinforced at yesterday's meeting. Rebecca?
Yeah, looking for fundamental changes there. Okay, Matt, thank you.
See how about Shmal Shah bringing hell on the Northern Kingdom, all right? On the Northern Kingdom, that's the tribe of Manasseh right there. All right, now let's play, and again, let's come here to America, and let's play these two videos.
Potential case of hantavirus. The person who is believed to have this virus lives in Winnebago County, which is in the Rockford area. It's believed they acquired the virus while cleaning a home with rodent droppings. Now, the CDC is doing additional testing to confirm this case. The testing could take up to 10 days to complete. Now, health officials want to stress this is not related to the recent deadly cruise ship outbreak. They believe it's a different strain of hantavirus, one that does not spread from person to person. And they ensure the risk of contracting hantavirus remains very low for people here in Illinois.
So you heard that, that's in Illinois. And let's get this one right here. This is in Colorado. Douglas County.
And this is new tonight. An adult who lives in Douglas County has died from hantavirus. State health leaders want to be very clear. This case has no connection to the cruise ship outbreak you've been hearing about for the better part of a couple of weeks now. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Phil Lipoff.
I'm Alexandra Lewis. The state health department says this is a different strain, one that we've seen in Colorado before. 90's reporter Colton Chavez is here with those details. Colton, what did you learn today?
Well, Alex, it's a pretty rare virus, but the reason that we're hearing about this death is because it's likely because of that cruise ship outbreak concerning a strain that can spread from person to person. Now, the state health leaders want you to know what killed this Douglas County resident is a very different strain. Now, it's called Nombre hantavirus. Colorado's actually had it recorded, 132 cases of it since 1993. 47 of those were fatal. Now, there were 4 cases in Colorado in 2025 alone, and prior to the Douglas County death, the most recent death recorded was in 2024. Now, state health departments say preliminary evidence suggests the latest case came from local exposure to rodents. Now, unlike the Andes virus, which is linked to that cruise ship, the Nombre virus cannot spread person to person. In Colorado, it's actually deer mice that are the most common source, and spring and summer are peak season for the virus. Now, News medical expert told us that it comes from rodent droppings, and you have to follow specific steps when you clean it up.
What the CDC recommends is that you ventilate the area for about 30 minutes before you even get started. Then you spray it with a solution of at least 10% bleach and let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Then you cover up all your orifices, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, wear a mask, wear, gloves, double gloves if necessary, and wear some sort of protective clothing.
That was Dr. Paul Coley. The CDPHE says the risk to the general public right now remains low, and the investigation they have is going on. Now, if you spot rodent droppings or even a dead rodent in your home or in your garage, health officials say do not sweep or vacuum that because it can spread that virus into the air. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
No comment. I guess you just leave it. No comment. I ain't gonna say nothing. Y'all already know, man. Hey, y'all know, man. Y'all know what's going on, man. Y'all know what's going on. But when they no comment, man. Let's get this one right here. Hey, when my man we hit the Ebola joint earlier. Yeah, we hit that joint earlier. The plagues are most definitely upon the earth. But you best believe what's in people already is mutating, and soon people are going to start oofing, man. But what they got going on with this, man, now you got cases popping up in the United States. That's 2 cases that was not linked to the cruise ship. No comment. Let me see. This right here
supply for these oil filters
is Patrick Humphrey urgent warning letter just sent. Massive explosions at 3 critical refineries. I'm gonna pause it and find a good starting point. All right, I'm gonna start right here.
consumer lubricants. All right, so all of these have gone offline in the past month or two, and that's why we're seeing these letters. All right, these letters are devastating. It says here, check it out. It says, when speaking about unusual or historic supply chain disruptions, it's common for those of us to have been in the business for a movement to reference situations from a decade ago. But the truth is, if you've been with us for even a year, you've already worked through one major supplier loss and related rebranding. If you've been with us longer, you work through one of the most difficult reshuffling and inventory changes and sales flow during 2020. That's why I'm not worried about what we're facing today. Preparations and dedication of every one of our team members will see through this just as you did before. It says here, in the interest of total transparency, there's zero benefit in mincing words. Due to the unfolding situation in the Middle East, we're facing the largest supply shortage of lubricating fluids in the modern history of America. Realistic middle-of-the-road estimates are for our average available supply in this product category to drop by 40%. Okay, so AutoZone is warning their shops, at least in the southeast region of the United States, that their supply could drop by 40% for lubricating fluids. All right, this is huge. 40%, that's almost a half, cutting the market in half. And we see similar announcements coming from other providers as well. All right, you can see here, this is from Nissan, and this is from Automobile Oil as well. And it says here, they've announced another round of price increases across its lubricant product lines, effective on all orders placed on or after May 18th, 2026. The increases are structured by product category and base oil type as follows. Synthetic oil up, which is group 3, which is the main refineries here that we are dependent on from the Middle East, up $3.70 a gallon. Synthetic blend oils, group 2 and group 3 mixtures, up $2.60 a gallon, and conventional oils up $2.20 a gallon. Brake fluid up $1, grease products up 25 cents per pound. All right, this is a main lubricant provider throughout the United States, and they are announcing that any orders after May 18th are going to have these price increases and potentially even availability issues as pressure intensifies. You guys can see here, this is coming from Nissan. It says, important engine oil supply and product availability changes. Dear Nissan partners, we are writing to provide an important update regarding the availability of oil engine products across the Nissan network in the United States. Due to the ongoing global supply constraints impacting key raw materials and refining inputs due to the Middle East conflict, we've been advised of production capacity for most lubricant products. As a result, Nissan will be implementing the following adjustments effective May 1st, 2026. It says allocation of Nissan Genuine Oil, including Mobile and Mobile 1 variants, will be constrained and managed at a 55% year-over-year level based on gallons purchased. It also says here, bulk and packaged genuine Nissan oil supply will be limited to 55% of prior year volumes on a year-over-year basis. All right, so they're limiting how much oil they're going to be selling, all right, because they want to keep it for oil changes primarily, all right, so they're going to stop selling like packaged supply for this for consumers primarily. It says here, this approach is designed to maintain consistent supply across the dealer network and minimize the risk of localized shortages. A supplier-driven Pricing adjustment is expected in the near term. Final details, including timing impact, will be communicated as they are confirmed. It's saying here that they will identify supplemental sourcing options, including oil under the Value Advantage brand. We will work with dealer partners to prioritize supply of critical service needs. Our goal is to minimize disruptions to dealer operations, realizing these geopolitical supply issues are out of our control. It says Nissan requires that genuine oil and other oil approved for use by Nissan be utilized in repairs paid for by Nissan. Manage inventory carefully and prioritize usage for essential service activities. All right, so they're essentially saying they're not going to be selling as much oil directly to consumers, and they want to save this oil for dealership operations, all right, because they've already sold all these oil changes. You know, when you buy a new car, they sell you on the oil changes, so they need to have that oil available and to have that, you know, continued revenue come in for that source as well. All right, so they're going to be limiting consumer access. So I think what we're going to see here, and we're already...
And if that's the case, and you got to take your vehicle to a dealership or even a quick oil change facility, they're going to jack the prices up to the roof. You know, the dealerships, they be hitting people in the pockets. They be raping people's pockets, you know? Hey, that's going to lead to higher prices. Hey, it's going to rationing, you know, in the stores. Hey, people going to start buying all this stuff up.
Seeing it is the consumer side is going to get hit extremely hard in the next few months. I think the commercial side might be a little bit more insulated because they're going to kind of suck up whatever's left. Whatever's available is going to be bought in these bulk purchases, you know, for like oil change centers and things like that. They're going to be the primary ones buying it up, and it's just going to be harder and harder for you to buy it on the consumer side. I've noticed, even at Walmart, I was checking Walmart out to see what's going on there. They had a ton of oil, actually. Some of it was actually on sale, but there actually were almost no oil filters. All right, I think that's another kind of canary in the coal mine is the filters. Okay, because I reported on just last month actually how there's a manufacturing plant in the U.S. that burned down that creates these filters. Okay, or I think maybe it was hit by a tornado.
Let me introduce you to the second-hand shopping app that has been my absolute go-to.
That creates these filters. Okay, or I think maybe it was hit by a tornado. It's one of the main. It like provides like 10 or 20% production supply for these oil filters. All right, and specifically for things like big generators and industrial uses. But there were no filters there. I don't know what's going on. The only type of filters there were the canister filters, and only certain cars take those, where it's just a canister you screw on and off instead of actually replacing the filter inside and taking it apart. There were none of those. There were just a few of the canister ones. So I don't know what's going on with filters either, but I did not see. There was actually a lot of oil, at least where I'm at, but no filters. All right, so something to be aware of too, maybe if you need an oil change soon, which I definitely do, and that's on the list. That's why I was picking up oil and checking the filters, but they didn't even have any for my truck. And maybe do these things now, all right? Maybe do these things now. Don't go out and, panic buy and like hoard oil, buy a bunch of oil or whatever, but if you need an oil change or you need one soon, maybe just do it now before things get tighter. At least you're good for 3 months or 6 months or however long. Some of these oil changes can go a whole year. depending on which blend you're in, right? So definitely look into that and be prepared for that just in case, right? Because we could start seeing limiting even like dealership operations. We could see them slowing down the scheduling, maybe cut back, whatever they do, 100 a day or however many they do a day, 50 a day, maybe only doing 30 a day or 40 a day, cutting back on the amount of oil changes they're doing per day as well to kind of slow down the drain to kind of get them through until they can get replacements for this. But it's not looking good because they're estimating the Shell Pearl gas to liquid plant, which is the main provider worldwide. These 3 refineries that I mentioned provide around 40% of our imports into the U.S. for these Group 3 lubricants. Okay, so it's massive, and they're saying it's going to take at least a year to restore the Shell gas to liquid plant. All right, so that happened late March, but could take a whole year from then. It's only May. It hasn't even been a couple months. All right, so not looking good. We've kind of had a buffer on a lot of these things, but the buffer.
Yeah, that's it. If you want to watch the rest of the video, I'll put it in the description box. Hey, all in all, man, they want to cut travel, man. Destroy vehicles. From what is E15. They're doing everything to stop travel, right? And have people stationary. What's that, Micah? It's Micah 5. Book of Micah, chapter 5 and 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah, that I will cut off thy horses out of the midst of thee, and I will destroy thy chariots. You see? So, hey, see, it's all playing, man. All right? You don't want nobody going nowhere. You want you stationary. All right? That's the whole point of 15-minute cities. So, hey, we're witnessing the collapse, man. All right? The collapse. And it's going on hard. I just wanted to bring out these reports real quick through the Spirit of Power Yahweh Shema Shah. That's all we got for right now. Stay prayed up in the name of Yahweh Shema Shah. Shalom.